Namaste, welcome to Buddha's teaching. Today we are talking about Nāma or mind. Nāma is the Pali word, mind is the English translation. In the last lesson, the last talk, we talked about form, rūpa, right? So today we talk about mind. In the three pillars, as I have covered before, we have impermanence, right? Anicca, impermanence. Dukkha, suffering, and then anatta, non-self. Okay, so the non-self part is the part that we are looking at. In order to understand non-self, we have to figure out what self is that we all refer to as self. What is self? And that's why the Buddha teach Nāma, rūpa, body and mind. So this lesson here is about the mind in general, of course, just as we start into this study. So the mind. As we know, the mind is the software that runs our body, right? Our body is physical and our mind is the software. The body itself, it does not know anything. Okay, the body is not aware of anything. The body, doesn't do anything without the order from the mind. So the mind is the boss. The mind is the chief that tells the body what to do. Okay, without the mind ordering, the body would not move. Okay, so the mind is in control, in another word. Okay, it's just like the car, the body and the car, and the mind is the driver. It tells the car where to go. So what is the mind? This is probably the last frontier that we all have to break through in order to understand the true teaching of the Buddha. Okay, this is the top frontier of ignorance that we need to break. Our ignorance is based on self-identifications. All right, we of course identify ourselves as we are all in the habit. We identify ourselves with our body and with our mind, right? So this is how we break down and we do the analysis to see what is it that we're referring to ourselves here. The body, as we have already discovered, there is no soti there anywhere. It's just a combination, it's an aggregate of the different elements, different organs that come together to put the body. But there is no soti or John or Susan anywhere in particular. It's the whole aggregate that we put a label onto. So now let's look at the mind, right? We said, okay, if we cannot identify ourselves with the body, how about the mind? The mind that do all the talking, the mind that do all the function, movement and all the body and all that. So can we identify ourselves with this mind, with this software? All right. So we have to find out what this mind is. Right. That's what the Buddha taught. The mind. So the mind is the software. Okay, and the mind itself has its ingredients, as we have gone over a little bit before. It has its element, the different elements that make up the mind. The mind doesn't just, it's not there. It has, as you know, our mind change, right? Our mind change from one moment to the next. One moment we are in equanimous mode. We have no, feeling or negative or positive. And the next moment, due to different encounters that we receive, that we run into, we have a reaction, we have emotion. So our mind change from moment to moment, right? From happy to sad, from sad to uh, angry, from angry to depressed or and whatnot. It change all the time, right? So that's the mind that we think that who we are in a way, that when you're sad, you said I'm sad, or I'm not happy, okay, or I'm worried, or I'm frustrated, I'm anxious, I'm fearful, and or I'm upset, angry, mad, and all that. So there's I there, right? So what is that? Okay, all the emotion. What create all of that? So there's ingredients that makes up all those different mindset that we have. Okay, in Buddha's teaching, the Buddha said we all have 89 minds. Okay, um, in general. Okay, the Buddha said every single human being has 89 minds, or if you want to break it down into details, it's 121. Okay, so it's either 89 or 121, whatever number you want to pick. It's the same, because one is like more summarized than the 121. The 121 is like a breakdown a little further of the 89, so we can refer to as 89 minds. So you and I, we all have 89 minds. Okay, no more, no less. That's what the Buddha discovered. All right, it's incredible, it's amazing. So it doesn't matter what kind of mind you have. Right? You think that people have different minds all over the place, all over the world, and all that. But in summary, the Buddha look at every human being and look at the mind that's changed. From one scenario to the next and all that. There are 89. Okay, and those 89 minds has its ingredients that makes up those 89 minds. Okay, and those ingredients, we call them the mind elements or the mind faculties, and there are 52 of them. Okay, again, that's how the Buddha discovered there are only 52 ingredients, 52 elements that make up our 89 minds. All right, so the structure is pretty much similar to the form, to the rūpa. Okay, the 52 mind faculties that we have in the Abhidhamma is laid out. There are three groups. Okay, those 52 mind faculties, right? They are divided into three groups, as you've seen on the chart. Right, there are 52 groups there. So the group number one is called an independent group, a neutral group, okay, or a non-biased group, okay, or faculties. All right. There are 13 elements in that group. Okay, as you see, that's a group on the left-hand side of the screen. Okay, and the second group, which is in the middle, is called the unwholesome group. Right, the unwholesome group is comprised of 14 elements or 14 ingredients. Okay, and on the right side of the group, we call the wholesome group or the wholesome mind faculties. There are 25 ingredients or 25 elements. Okay, so those are the three main groups, the three that are divided. Okay, so the ingredients, even though they're 52, but they are divided into three groups. One is independent, non-biased group or element. There are 13 elements in them. Okay, there are 13 ingredients, or you can call mind faculties. Okay, there are 13. And in the unwholesome element group, there are 14 elements, and in the wholesome, there are 25. Okay, now if you look in the group of the independent group or the non-biased group, the non-biased, the 13 non-biased elements. All right, there's subgroups, okay, also in them. So what is the first subgroup? It's called the universal group, okay, subgroup. The universal subgroup, there are 7 elements, okay, there are 7 ingredients, okay. And what are they? As you've seen on the chart there: contact, feeling, perception, volition, focus, life factor, and attention. Okay, there are 7 of them, and these 7 here is neither wholesome nor unwholesome. They are just neutral or independent. Right? They have no lean one way or the other. So there are 7 of them, and they are universal. What does that mean? They are universal. It means that in every single mind that we have, okay, in every single 89 kinds of mind that we have, they are always present. Okay, these 7 factors right here are always present in our mind. Okay, without these 7, there is no mind. The mind don't exist unless these 7 are there. So our mind is always minimum contain of these 7 elements. That's why they call universal. Okay, the rest of the faculties or the elements, it depend on the situation, depend on the scenario, depending on the emotion. Okay, they can be present or they are not present. All right, so but these 7 right here, these are the 7 universal that are always present in our mind. Okay, the next subgroups, occasional 6, and it's also belong in the non-biased elements group or the independent group. Okay, what does that mean? That means that these 6 right here, they are also not negative or positive. They are neither wholesome or unwholesome, but they're not always present in our mind. There are times that they are present, there are times that they are not present in the mind, depending on the condition of the mind, depending on the emotion, the feeling that we have at any particular moment. Okay, so they come up to the surface just like fish come up to the surface, depending on the baits, right? Depending on the bait, so that is the condition for them to rise up. Okay, group number 2. Group number 2 is called unwholesome elements, or the group, right? So that is the group that contain the unwholesome element that cause all kinds of issue in our mind. There are only 14 ingredients, believe it or not. Okay, but those 14, they mess everything up. Right, but there's only 14 ingredients in the unwholesome mind faculty groups. Okay, so what are they? There are also 2 subgroups in there. Okay, in the unwholesome group, okay, there are 4 that are always present when we have an unwholesome mind. Okay, when we have an unwholesome mind, these 4 are always present. Follow? So these 4, first of all, let me go through it. Delusion, okay, shamelessness, no fear of wrong or wrongdoing, and number 4 is restlessness. There's no peace inside. Not calm. It's agitated. So those 4 elements are always present when we have unwholesome mind. Okay, make sure you get that note down. They are always present when we have unwholesome mind. So if we have wholesome mind, these four are not there. Okay, so these four are there when we have unwholesome mind. Okay, and then so now the next 10, the occasional 10 down below, we have greed, right? We have wrong view, we have conceit, we have hatred, we have jealousy, we have avarice or stingy. Okay, we have agitated, undecisiveness, uh, laziness, sleepiness, and we have doubt. Okay, so there are 10 of them. Okay, so those 10 are the rest of the unwholesome ingredients. Okay, so if you can just picture, they are each like a salt, pepper, black pepper, cinnamon, chili, oil, different little container. These, just picture them as just like that. They are different. They have their own different compartment, their own, their own little thingy. Okay, each one of them. So the 10 occasional unwholesome elements, okay, these 10 here, so they're not always present. Okay, because there are times that we are greedy. Okay, but we are not angry. Okay, so those two don't necessarily, are not necessarily present at the same time in our mind. When we are greedy, and then when the greedy mind subside, okay, and then we can have hatred mind arise, but those two are not there at the same time. Okay, for example, so depending on whatever emotion at that time that we have, the occasional 10, some of them come up at the same time. Okay, let's say there could be 4 or 5 of them come up at the same time. Okay, for whatever the emotion that we have, and then that mind subside, and then another group come up. Okay, rise up. So it takes turn like that, and that is something that we have to study. Okay, into it in order to understand it. Okay, but they're not always present in, when we have unwholesome mind activity going on. These 10 are not always present like the other 4. Okay, these 10 takes turn. Sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not. Okay, and so why are the other 4 are always present? The delusion, shamelessness, no fear of wrongdoing, and the restlessness, why are they always present? You just think about it. You sit down for yourself, after this talk, you look at the chart and see, okay, when this unwholesome emotion arise, unwholesome feeling arise, whether within you or within someone else, what are the basis of that unwholesome uh, mind state? Okay, of course the person is has delusion. Okay, or we call moha, or another word, or you can call it ignorance also. It does not know. Okay, because a mind that know don't have unwholesome feeling. So delusion, or like a blindness kind of, is because the mind is not clear. It does not know what it's doing. That's why it has greed. That's why it has wrong view. That's why it has hatred or conceit, because the mind is deluded. The mind does not know. So delusion is always there. And the mind is unwholesome because the mind has shamelessness, meaning it's not ashamed of having unwholesome activity. Okay, the mind is not ashamed of itself of being angry, of being hateful for somebody, has no shame. Okay, that's why it's unwholesome. Okay, and also has no fear of wrongdoing. Okay, and that wrongdoing does not matter. It doesn't just toward others. The wrongdoing toward itself. Okay, it has no concept of that. That's why it's unwholesome. Okay, and of course it's not calm at that time, so that's why the mind is not wholesome. Okay, so that is just something for you to get your head into a little bit. So that's the unwholesome, the faculties. All right, you have 14 of them, for universal in the whole unwholesome, and the other 10 occasional. Now the same structure is laid out in the wholesome group. And in the wholesome group, believe it or not, we have a lot of wholesome elements. There are 25 of them, right? There are 25 dishes, 25 ingredients. Okay, so we have a lot of opportunity to cultivate, to create, to generate wholesome activity in the mind. But the problem for a lot of us is that those 14 elements are causing a lot of issue, right? They overpower the 25 elements, right? Believe it or not. But we have 25 wholesome elements or ingredients, mind ingredients within all of us. Okay, so what are they? Again, when we have wholesome mind, let's say we have compassion, right? We have empathy, we have loving kindness. Okay, when that mind when that mind arises within us, it's there's 19 elements that are always there. Okay, minimum. The minimum is the 19 element that arise inside of us. Okay, always present in the wholesome mind. Okay, so that always present in a group is 19. So they are what? Goodwill with confidence. Okay, it's like you it's that is it's a really difficult translation. Okay, it's not a direct translation from the Pali word, so it's the best translation is it's like a goodwill. You have a will to do good. Okay, and with the belief in yourself, right? That you say that's the right thing to do. Okay, so that's goodwill. Number two, mindfulness, of course. Number three is morality. Number four, dreadful of wrongdoing. As we go through it, you can see it. Number five, non-greed. Of course, when we have compassion, we have loving kindness. It's not it's not possible to have greed, right? You have non-greed. It's the opposite of greed. Okay, you have non-greed. Okay, and of course you have non-anger or non-hatred, because again, when you are in a good mood, you cannot be angry at the same time, right? When you're in the mood of giving, it's you it the mind in the particular moment that you can't be greedy when you are giving, right? So it's different. There's a different mindset there. Okay, so and then number seven there, equanimity. I'm reading the chart as you are. Okay, number eight, tranquility of the mental state. Number nine, tranquility of the mind. Number 10, lightness of mental state. You feel easy, when you're in a generosity mode, right? In generous mode, loving kindness, compassion, empathy. The state of your mind is very relaxed, easy going, light. Okay, that's what it means. Lightness of mental state. It's not heavy. Okay, like when you are depressed or when you are upset, when you are stressed, that's heavy. Okay, so this fear number 10 there is lightness of mental state, lightness of mind, right? Number 12, pliancy of mental state, pliancy of mind. Okay, so you feel you have the feeling of complete, you feel good. All right, that's what it means. And of course, number 14, shame of wrong mental state, shame of wrong mind. When you have a good heart, there's no you see that doing wrong is not the right thing to do. Okay, you understand that part. That's why you're ashamed of doing the wrong things. Okay, so it gets better. Proficiency of mental state, proficiency of the mind. Okay, number 18, rectitude of mental state, and 19, rectitude of mind. Okay, so those 14 ingredients are always present. Okay, they're always present in our mind when we have wholesome mind. When during the in the period that we have wholesome mind, that wholesome mind arises, we have, when you feel the warmth in your heart, the compassion, those 19 are there, always present in the wholesome state. That's what it means. Okay, it's not present when you are not wholesome. So, and then now the next subgroup, we have restraint. There are three elements. Okay, so restraint from what? Restraint from desire, all right, or greed. Okay, so what are they? They are right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Okay, so those three are in the Eightfold Noble Path. Okay, okay, the next group is limitless. Okay, there are two of them, is the compassion and appreciative joy, or in the Pali word it's called mudita. It's you thankful. Okay, and the last one is called wisdom, which is or we can call like nirvana. Okay, wisdom is it belongs to the enlightened belong to an awakened mind or an enlightened mind. Okay, so these are just these are the ingredients, okay, of our mind. All right, and nobody taught us this except the Buddha. The Buddha broke it down. Okay, lay it down. This is the blueprint of our mind right here. The different ingredients, so it's all laid out on the table for us. Okay, to look at. Okay, every single one of us has these 52 ingredients that rise up. Taking turn to rise up in our mind. Okay, one moment at a time, and then it subside down and go back down, and the other state of the mind come back up. Okay, and it takes turn like that. That's the mind activity. Okay, so this is the general overview. All right, this is a general overview of the mind faculties. So another way of looking at our mind is this. It's just like a soup. Okay, if you have a soup, in the soup you have all these ingredients that you put in it, right? It doesn't matter what soup you have. Okay, you have egg drop soup, you have chicken soup, you have vegetable soup. Okay, you have whatever soup, right? In there you have different ingredients, right? So it depending on the chef, whatever the chef put in the ingredient, you get that particular soup, right? So that particular soup is one moment, one mind moment right there. Okay, when the mind arises, depending on what ingredient you put in there, that is one mind moment. Okay, and then the moment disintegrated, and then the next mind moment arise, depending on the encounter, depending on what the five senses experiences, and the information goes into sixth sense, and the reaction, the emotion rise up, and these ingredients right there that creates the mind. Okay, you see how incredible that is. Okay, so if you can picture that, you can sort of sit back and see it. Oh, okay, so these are the things that is going on in everyone's mind. We have these ingredients, okay, and they go up and down, and they're flashing up and down depending on the condition. Okay, so this is a general overview, and we're gonna go into a little bit more details regarding, we're gonna go into the example of a mind moment for a couple of scenario in the next talk, so that we can have a better understanding of how our mind arise. Okay, and so that's what I have for you today, the ingredients. Okay, and then as I already talked over a little bit about how they come up, the soup come up, that's what we're gonna talk about next, in the next talk. Okay, we get a little bit more into how to make this, how the soup is made, right? Or in other words, how the soup is made, or how the mind arises one moment at a time. So we're gonna go into a little more detail on that. All right. You have any question, comment, anything? Don't forget to leave me, one down there. Okay, I'll be more than happy to get back to you. All right. So until next time, I like to pay respect to the triple gems. I like to pay respect to the Buddha. I like to pay respect to the Dharma, and I like to pay respect to the Sangha. Namaste.